One easy way to change the look of the basic pants sloper is to add extra room at the hemline. In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn the basic pants sloper into either a flared or bootcut design. Begin by tracing off your entire sloper. Then, using your doll as a guide, figure out where you would like to add the flare and how much you'd like to add. I'm going to add a bootcut amount of flare to my pants. To determine where I'd like the flare to begin, I'm just going to measure up on my doll. I want it to be about the knee line, so that's 4 inches. Then, measuring up 4 inches on my pattern, I'm going to make a reference cross mark. Next, at the hemline, measure out the amount of flare you'd like to add. I am going to add about 5/8 of an inch, and then connect this mark up to the reference line you drew earlier. Now, take your original measurement and apply that to the line you just drew, in this case 4 inches. This will ensure that we have an even hemline on our finished pair of pants. Blend in your new hemline. Draw in the same amount of flare on each side of your pants front, and then repeat for the pants back. If you're using a more extreme flare, you may need to blend up at the flare origin line. Complete your pattern by adding seam allowance, labeling it, and cutting it out. Another thing you could do is narrow the legs of your pants to get that trendy skinny jean look. Trace off your entire slopers. It's helpful to work on front and back at the same time. Next, take into account what kind of fabric you're going to be making this pattern from. If you want to work with wovens, then you can't actually take any room out of these pants. We've designed this sloper to be the slimmest fitting pant in a non-stretch woven that will still fit on the given size of doll. However, if you want to work with stretch denim that has a little bit of give, or a very stretchy knit to make something like leggings, then you can actually shave off quite a bit. Now's a good time to play with your fabric to see how much it stretches, and this will help inform you whether you can take off just a little bit, or whether you can actually go pretty extreme. Here's an example of a moderate stretch denim type fabric. As I pull on it, you can see there's a little bit of give to it, and it will spring back, but it's nothing like a legging type knit. Next, I'm going to measure around my doll's instep. This is from her heel up to the top of her ankle. And it is 4 inches. Okay. The instep measurement is the minimum distance that the hem must be able to open up to. So if you're using a non-stretch woven, you need to have that distance already built into your pant. But since we have a little bit of stretch here, we can make that distance a little bit smaller and wind up with a closer fit at the ankle. Given the amount that my fabric stretches, I'm going to guess that I can shave about a 1/16 of an inch off of each pant leg and still get a good fit. Again, if I was using a very stretchy fabric, I might be able to take enough off the pant leg so that the finished pant circumference was actually the same measurement as her ankle. But you do need a lot of spandex to be able to pull that one off. Remove the same amount of material from each of your pant leg seams. Then add seam allowance and cut out your pattern. Another factor to be aware of is your doll's calf size. Some of the dolls have very large calves, so even though you may have fit your pant correctly at the hem, perhaps where you blended it up to has now made the calf measurement too small. So just use your measuring tape and your ruler to ensure that you've left yourself enough ease for the pants to go over your doll's calf. Another very easy alteration to make to your basic pants sloper is to change the length. This is actually very simple. First, measure your doll's inseam to the length you'd like your finished pants to hit. I am going to draft a pair of pants in this example that hit just below her knee joint, but you could also use the same technique to make short shorts, mid-length shorts, capris, or even pedal pushers. I've decided I'd like my finished pants inseam length to be 3 inches. Then I'm going to measure that same distance, 3 inches, down the inseam of my pants pattern, which I've traced off. And then I'm going to mark that. Then use your ruler to square off a new hemline. Do the exact same thing to make sure that your back and front match. Then, as the final step, line them up along the outseam to be sure that they're true. add seam and hem allowance, label your pattern, and you're all done. Harem or palazzo pants are very full of the hemline. They can either be left open or gathered into a band or cuff. They can also be smooth fitting up at the waist or be gathered up at the waist as well. Trace around your entire sloper and include any darts. Then draw straight lines from the crotch point down to the hemline, and also straighten out your outseam in the same way. Draw in your new hemline. If you're planning on gathering your pants into a cuff or a band and you want a little bit of extra blouse, go ahead and draw in a slash line horizontally near the bottom of your pants. And slash and spread at this point to add a little bit of extra length. Depending on the size of your doll, a quarter or a half an inch will probably be enough. Next, draw in vertical slash lines. If your pants have darts, then be sure to line this style line up with your dart points. Otherwise, you can space these style lines evenly across the width of your pants. 2 or 3 is probably plenty. Pivot your pattern to either close darts or simply open up your pants to the desired amount. Then tape your pivot points closed and fill in the gaps with scrap paper. Draw in your new hemline, add seam allowance, and label your pattern. If you wanted to add fullness at the waist as well as the hemline, then instead of closing your darts or pivoting at the waistline, you would instead slash all the way up and open out the pattern evenly at the waist and the hemline.